Power Query, which Power BI course is divided. Let me take a new notepad. Just going to take the new notepad, and let's give the notepad name as click on new text document, and let's write that as 8 p.m. March month, and the module name. We will start with what? Power Query. I'll use the same notepad for all the Power Query classes. For all the Power Query classes. Which one? 8 p.m. March Power Query. So what you need to know is Power BI course is divided into 4 different modules. How many modules? 4 modules. What are the 4 modules? Is first module name is what?
Power Query.
Power Query. Where you will do what? ETL.
Extract.
Second module you have in Power BI is Power Pivot. Where you will create what? OLAP. Third module you have is what? Power View. Where you will create what? Reports are visuals. All the visuals we will create visuals. All the visuals I can call it as a report, right? And the last module we have is Power BI service. Which one? Power BI service, which is used for what? Power BI service is used to share reports to what?
Clients.
Clients. Share reports to clients. These are the 4 modules we have, and we need to learn one by one module. First, let's start with what? Power Query now. So next 2 weeks, this week and next week, you will learn only about Power Query. So Power Query. So today's class is class number 1. Let me copy paste the agenda for class 1. I'll just copy paste what is the agenda for class 1. Right? Write it. So these are the topics I'm going to discuss in the class 1. First, we'll try to understand introduction to Power Query. Next, we'll try to understand Power Query Editor user interface. Then we will talk about data processing in Power Query. These are the topics I want to discuss as part of today's class. Let's start. So, first, how to open Power Query? First, let's try to open Power Query. Just a second, guys. Just how to open Power Query is go to Power BI Desktop, double click on it. When I click on double click on it, it will open first Power BI Desktop. In the Power BI Desktop, you need to click on blank report. Once you click on blank report, it successfully open which software? Power BI Desktop. From here, I need to open Power Query. How to go open Power Query is go to Home tab, click on what? Transform data. When I click on transform data, it will open which software? Power Query Editor. So first let's bring some tables to Power Query. Write few points first about Power Query. So if someone asks you tell few points about Power Query, first point you need to tell about Power Query is an ETL software in Power BI. Which software? ETL software in Power BI. Okay, so we know that Power Query is an ETL software, and what it will do, more elaborated way means what Power Query will do is Power Query will connect to what data sources or OLTPs. It will extract the data. Once after connecting, it will extract the tables. Once it extract the tables, it will do what? Transform the data in the tables. Once it transform the data in the tables, it will load the tables to where? Power Pivot. That is what Power Query will do. At that point. So what Power Query will do is Power Query can connect and extract the data, can connect and extract data from any data source, from any kind of data source, That is the first step. Second step is what? Transform the data, transform the data as per what? As per the report requirements or client requirements. Power Query is the place where we'll transform the data as per report requirements. Who will provide that report requirements? Clients. Once it transforms the data as per report requirements, last step loads the data into where Power Query. That's what Power Query will do. Okay. So to do this, do you want to write any code to extract, to transform, to load? We no need to write code. I said that in Power Query, we can do ETL using which options? GUI options. We no need to write the code. To do the ETL in the Power Query, we no need to write any code. To do ETL in Power Query, we no need to write code. We can, in Power Query, we can do ETL using what? GUI options. What is the full form of GUI? I said graphical user interface options. Graphical user interface options. So I said in the introduction class how the GUI option is extracting the data, transforming the data, loading the data. How an option can do that means how the GUI option can transform the data. I said that to do ETL, you no need to write the code. Let's say I'll bring some tables. Click on new source. Let's bring some tables, guys. To bring the tables, you need to click on what? New source. Let's say I want to bring it from Excel. Click on Excel. When I click on Excel, let's bring some tables first. So I'll just bring the tables from sample superstore. Click on what? Open. You select orders table, people's table, and returns table. Just press OK. Let's bring some tables from another Excel. How to bring some more tables from another Excel? One more new source, one more time new source, again Excel this time. EMP DEPT, click on open. EMP DEPT, click on open. Select EMP table, DEPT table, and what? Managers table. And just press what? Okay. Now I want to bring some more tables from SQL Server. I'm expecting some more tables from where? SQL. Click on new source. SQL Server. Let's enter the server name. Let me copy paste the server name. I'll just go and copy paste the server name. So here I have some server name. I'll just copy it and you'll use the server name. Just press OK. It will open the server and it will show the list of databases. I'll bring today tables from which database? Product database. Select customers table, product table, sales table. Just press what? Okay. Like this, we can bring the tables, guys. Let's say now I want to convert in the product data table product name into uppercase. What you need to convert? Product name to uppercase. How we do? Select the product name, transform tab, format, click on uppercase. To convert the product name to uppercase, do you need to write any code? No. We can do it using what? GUI option. Go to format, click on what? Uppercase. When I click on uppercase, it got converted to what? Uppercase. So how just one GUI option is transforming the data? What we said. So how just a GUI option is transforming the data is, I said that behind every GUI option, Microsoft already written the code. What we said? Behind every GUI option, Microsoft already written the code. Microsoft already written what? Code. When we use the GUI options, when we use GUI options, what happens? When we use GUI options, code will execute and provide what? Results. You are not writing the code. On behalf of you, who write the code already? Microsoft. Microsoft already written the code case. Behind every GUI option, Microsoft already written the code. So we are telling that behind every GUI option, we have a code, right? Microsoft written that code using which language? I said
M language.
M language. M stands for what? Mashup language. Microsoft use mashup language behind the GUI options. If you see here, when I remove the third step, again, product name is in the proper case. How we converted the product name to uppercase? Select the product name, transform, format, click on uppercase. When I click on uppercase, When I click on uppercase, it will add a new step. Yes or no? It will add a new step. Behind that new step, what it will write? It will write the code. It will add a new step, third step. And behind the third step, it will write some code. What it will write? Code. You see that now? When I select the product name column, when I go to transform, when I go to format, when I click on uppercase, it added a new step with the name called uppercase text. When I select the step, if you go and see, you will see some code here. This is which language code? M language code. What is the M language function they used? Text.upper is the M language function. To that function, they pass what? English product name column. English product name column. That will convert this into the uppercase. Okay. So this is the basic introduction we discussed in the introduction class also. Yes. These are the few points I explained in the introduction class. Okay. This we call it as introduction to what? Power Query. Once you understand introduction to Power Query, let's remove this step one more time. I bought a couple of tables. So first one, today we'll try to understand, we completed some basic introduction to Power Query. Now we'll start with Power Query Editor user interface. What is the topic we are going to start now? Power Query Editor user interface. In short, user interface, we call it as what? UI. I'll make you understand. So for the next coming 2 weeks, you will work in the same single screen, guys. In the same software, you are going to work for how many days? 2 weeks. As we are going to work 2 weeks for this in the same screen, in the same software, better to know about this software, guys. Better to know about this, what we have here. This Power Query Editor user, this complete one, we call it as Power Query Editor user interface. What is that? Power Query Editor user interface. How many sections it have is, let's see now. The first section we have is queries pane. What is the first section? Queries pane. First section is queries pane. Second section we have is, we'll talk about more about what is this queries pane. Second section we'll talk about is data pane. What is the name of this area? We call this as data pane. Data pane. Third section we'll talk about is ribbon. Which one? Ribbon. This is the third section we'll talk about. Fourth section we'll talk about is what? Query settings pane. Fifth section we'll talk about is formula bar. Which one? Formula bar. How many sections you have this user interface? 5 sections. Let's try to understand each section one by one. First, which one you need to understand? Queries pane. What is this queries pane is? Queries pane will contains list of tables which we bought into. Queries pane will contains list of tables we bought into Power Query case. Now into Power Query, how many tables I bought? 9. All that 9 tables you are seeing under where? Queries pane, right? Under queries pane. Write that point. Queries pane will contains list of tables we bought into Power Query. Queries pane will contains what? List of tables we bought into where? Power Query. Into where? Power Query. How many tables you bought? You
Can
can
we
see
also say list of tables which we have extracted into Power Query?
Yes, we can write it up. So which we bought or which we extracted into where? Power Query. Right. So once you get the tables, once you bought or extract the tables, next step what you need to do? Okay, you have required tables. Once you got the tables into the Power Query, second step is what? Transform the data. So in order to transform the data, first we need to check the data, whether it is in the proper format or not. When you select any table, the table data can be shown here. The second section we have is, after the queries pane, second section we have is, which one? Data pane.
Data pane.
So data pane will show selected table data. Data pane will show what? Selected table data. Selected table data. When you select any table, that corresponding table data you can see. That corresponding table data we can see here. When I select orders table, I can see orders table data. When I go and select employee table, which table data you are seeing now? Employee table data I'm seeing here. So this will show selected table data. So why we need to see the data? Why we need to see the data is the data is in the proper format or not to check it. Let's say in one of the visual, client is asking to show what customer full name. Just take an example. Client is asking to show what customer full name. I need to go and check in the customer's table whether customer full name is there or not. To check that customer full name is there, will you go to SQL Server or I can check it in Power Query? We can check it in Power Query. Already we bought the tables to where? Power Query. We can check the table in where? Power
Power.
Query itself. Now you can just go to customers table. Which table? Customers. Which table data you are seeing now? Customers table. When I scroll towards right, I see customer full name, middle name, last name. Nowhere I see full name. That means customer full name is not available in where? Customers table. So to check the data in the corresponding table, we can check the data in the which pane?
Data pane.
Data pane. This is data pane. So data pane also call it as results pane. What is the other name for data pane? Results pane. Why they call data pane as results pane is when you do any transformation, let's take an example. And I go to product data table, I need to convert the product name to uppercase. To convert the product name to uppercase, select the product name, go to transform tab, format, click on what? Uppercase. When I click on uppercase, where you are seeing the result also, results also seeing in the same data pane. Product name got converted into uppercase and you are seeing the results also in the same data pane. As we are seeing the results in the data pane, we can call this as results pane also, right? So data pane will show what? Selected
Table
table
data.
data, selected table data. And we call data pane as what? Results pane. Data pane also call it as results pane because when we transform the data, when we transform the data, we can see results in same data pane. We can see results in where? Same data pane. Hence we call it as what? Hence we call it as results pane. Fine guys. That is about the data pane. Once after the data pane, the third important section in the Power Query is ribbon. This top one we call it as what? Ribbon. So this ribbon is not only in Power Query. If you open Word, here also you have this one. We can call this one also as ribbon, right? This one also ribbon. A similar kind of ribbon when you open Excel also you can see. When I open Excel, when I go here, this one we call it as what?
Yes.
Ribbon. So that similar kind of ribbon is available in where? Power Query.
Power Query.
Third section we have is ribbon. So what ribbon will contains is ribbon contains tabs. Which tab? Home tab. Then transform tab. Add column tab. View tab. Tools tab. Help tab. So each one we can call it as one tab. We can call it as tab. How many tabs are there totally? How many tabs?
7.
6 tabs. How many tabs?
Six.
6 tabs are there. Now, and a tab will contain groups, guys. What a tab will contain? Groups. This one is first group. What is the group name? General.
Yeah.
Second one is from text. Third one from number. Fourth one from date and time. Last one AI insights. So like this, a tab will have a groups again. What will have? Groups. And what a group will have is GUI option. This column from example, we can call it as one GUI option. Custom column, we call it as what? GUI option. Invoke function, we call it as what? GUI option. So tell that what a ribbon will contains, I said. Ribbon will contains
Tabs.
multiple tabs. What a tab contains? Multiple groups. What a group contains?
GUI.
Multiple GUI options. Multiple GUI options. We use these GUI options to do what? ETL. We use these GUI options to do what? ETL activities. We use these GUI options to do the ETL activity. When I said that, go to add column tab. So the meaning is go to add column tab means what? This is the tab I'm talking about. Go to general group. When I said that go to general group means I'm asking about go here. Go and click on invoke custom function. Let's say you go for an interview, interviewer is asking a question where we have invoke custom function option in Power Query. How you need to tell?
General.
Interviewer is asking where invoke custom function is available in Power Query.
Oh, so can you
First,
repeat
you
the
need to tell
question,
what
please?
it is available in where? Add column tab. Which group? General group. You will find invoke custom function. That is how you need to tell. So we have a invoke custom function in add column tab, general group, you will find it. That is the way we need to tell. Okay, guys.
So what is the question? What was the question? Please repeat again, please.
So interviewer is asking a question where we have in Power Query, where we have invoke custom function option, where we have invoke custom function option. So simply you are not supposed to tell it is beside custom column or it like that. First, you need to tell it is available in where? Add column tab. Which group?
General.
So that it is easy for them.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fine. That is about the ribbon. So the most important area, most of the time we will spend in ribbon only. In ribbon, we will try to understand what? All the geo options. By end of the Power Query, next to 2 weeks, you will get the clarity about what? Every option. We'll get the clarity about what? Every option. Okay. That is about third. Fourth section we want to talk about is query settings pane. In the right hand side, you are seeing something called what? Query settings pane. There are two things. One is what?
It's low.
Properties. Second one is what? Applied steps. So query settings pane. Fourth section name is what? Query settings pane. It contains two parts. First one. Sorry guys. What happens? Just a second. It contains two parts. What is the first part is query settings pane have two parts. First part, what?
Properties.
Properties. Second part is what? Applied steps. Which one? Applied steps. These are the two parts you have. So properties, I'll discuss in the later classes. In the later classes, what kind of options you'll have. In the properties, I'll discuss. For now, it is too early. But now let me explain about what? This applied steps is important for today. What is this applied steps? Let's delete this step. Go to orders table and look at the orders table. How many applied steps are there? 4. When I go to applied steps, how many steps are there? Source, navigation, promoter header, change type. 4 steps are there. So what is the applied steps is? Applied steps will contains list of ETL activities we performed on the selected table. Applied steps will contains what? List of ETL activities we performed on the selected table. Selected table. So what it is telling is list of activities we performed on the selected table. So what it is telling is, it is telling that in orders table, how many ETL activities you perform? 4 it is telling. So I just bought the orders table. I don't even perform one step also. Have I performed any transformation in the orders table? I have not performed single step also so far, but how many steps you are seeing? 4 steps. 4 steps you are getting by default. You are getting what? Default. So try to understand again, I'm repeating. Applied steps will contain what? List of ETL activities we performed on what?
Selected table.
Selected table. When you select any table, on the table, how many ETL activities you performed, you can see it. When I go to EMP table also, how many steps are there? When I go to customer data table, how many steps are there? 2. It is telling that in customer data, you perform how many ETL? 2 ETL it is telling. But I have not performed single transformation also. I have not performed single step also so far. But you are seeing 2 steps. They are what? Default. You will get some default steps, guys. Let's try to understand what is this default steps. What we noticed is in applied steps, you are getting some default steps or not? Yes. Why they are getting, how they are getting, let's try to understand. How they are getting and why they are getting, let's try to understand. So what are these 4 steps you will understand? First step is what? Source. By looking at these tables, are we able to understand Orders table, see, one table have 4 steps. Another table have only what? 3 steps. Another table have only what? 2 steps. Why it is like that? I will explain now. Why not all the tables have same steps? Different steps. We will try to understand. First step is, by looking at the table, are we able to understand this table is coming from Excel or SQL Server? No. By looking at the table, we cannot tell this table is coming from Excel. This table is coming from SQL Server. Is there any symbol here? Separate symbol? No. All
No.
tables are looking same or not?
Yes.
But where we can understand this table is coming from which sources, we can understand in flight steps. In let's say I want to understand, I'm curious to understand orders table is coming from which place. You can understand from where? Source. It is coming from where? Excel.
Excel.
That it is get Excel workbook. That Excel file is located in where? C drive. This is the path. You can, if you copy this path till here it is path only. And this is the file name. This one is what? File name. Go to that path. When I open this Object Explorer, when I paste the path and hit enter, so you take that file from this particular path, guys. From this path, which table you taken?
Sample.
Sample Superstore Excel. This is the Excel we selected. When I open that Excel contains what? Orders, returns, peoples. 3 tables are there. We call it as, in the Excel, whatever you have here, we call them as either tables or sheets. We call them as what? Tables or sheets. Those are tables or sheets. Let's see what are the tables or sheets. In the orders table, okay. So this is the Excel from where you are getting this table. That's fine. Good. So in this Excel, which table data it contains? That you can see in where? Navigation. Okay. So this is the Excel from where you are getting this table. That Excel might have a lot of tables, right? Out of lot of tables, this Excel have how many tables?
3 tables.
3 tables. Out of the 3 tables, which table data it is? You can see in where? When I go to navigation, it is which table data?
Orders.
Orders, sheet data. That is navigation. Once you go to the second step, data is looking like this. When you are in the second step, this is how data is looking. Do you have proper column headers now? No, we don't have proper column headers. What Power BI is doing nowadays, tools have a lot of artificial intelligence. That artificial intelligence will do some work automatically. What it is doing in the third step is, it is promoting what? Headers. Which one is doing automatically? Power Query. How Power Query is promoting to the headers is, so Power Query, if first row have text, first row have what? Text. Remaining rows have what? Numbers. It will promote to what? Header. Or first row have text. Remaining rows other data. Remaining rows. This is what data available here in the remaining rows? Date. Only for first row you have what? Text. In the table, if first row text, remaining rows other data. Remaining rows other data. Then Power Query will automatically sense that this first row is not data. It is what? It is what? Header. Click on what? Use first row as header. When I click on use first row as header, you don't need to do it. Which one is doing automatically? Power BI is promoted to the headers. So does it promote to the headers? Now you are getting proper headers. So when you are in the second step, you have column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. In the third step, what they're doing, they're moving first to what? Header. Is developer moving it or Power Query is moving it?
Power Query is
Power
doing
Query. How Power Query know that it is a header?
by artificial intelligence.
Only first row text, remaining rows other data. That is how it knows. Once it promote to the header, we don't have proper data type to the column. When I select any column, let's say when I select order date column, what is the data type you have? Any. When I go to row ID column, what is the data type you have? Any. When I go to customer name column, what is the data type you have?
Any.
What you have? Any data type. Any data type. Now what is the next step? Change type. So Power Query will read the data. This step also automatically it is performing. Power Query will read the data in each table, each column. Based on the data we have here, it will change what? Data type. See, it is not recommended to leave the data type of the column as what? Any. For customer name, we need to give the data type as what? Text. For order date, we need to give the data type as what? Date. For row ID, we need to give the data type as what? Number,
Numbers.
whole number.
Time.
So generally, who need to do this? Developer. On behalf of developer, who is doing this step is again Power Query. As I said, Power Query has some inbuilt AI. That AI will read the data and it will change what?
Data
Data
type.
type. Go and click on change data, change type step. When I go to fourth step, see row ID column have what data type now? Whole
Numbers.
number. For order date column, what data type?
Date.
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 Ship date column, what data type? Date.
Date.
Customer name column, what data type? Text.
Text.
Are you getting proper data types?
Yes.
How you are getting means Power Query will go and read data in each column. Based on the data available, it will change what?
Data type.
Data. The steps automatically performed. Most of the tables which you bought from Excel, which you bought from where? Excel. You will find how many steps? Four steps. Most of it. Even when you go to EMP table also, will you have same 4 steps or not? What are the 4 steps you have?
Source navigation.
Promote
Source.
headers.
So let's say I want to understand EMP table is coming from which source? EMP table is coming from where?
Excel.
Excel.
Excel again. But this time which Excel?
Employee.
EMP, DEPT. Different Excel or not? Second step is what? Navigation. In that particular Excel, which table data it is? When I go to navigation, it is which table data?
Employee.
EMP sheet data. When it select EMP sheet, do you have proper column headers now? No. What it is doing in the third step? Promoted to the headers. How it know it is header?
It is
Text.
checking
First
with the
text.
constraint.
Remaining rows what? Other date. Then it can sense that it is a header. It will move to where? Header. It promoted to the header. When it promote to the header, what is the data type you will get by default?
Any.
What Power Query will do in the fourth step? It
Change.
will read the data in the each column and it will change the data type. When I go to change data type, for employee number, what it is given? Whole number.
number.
Employee name, text. How it will give? By reading the data. Right, yes. So, but when you go to people's table, you have how many steps?
3.
3 steps. You are not seeing 4 steps. You are seeing only 3 steps. Oh, what is the step missing here? People's table also coming from Excel only, right? Promoted header is missing, right? So third step is missing. Third step is what? Promoted header. Let's try to understand why promoted header is missing. So first step is what? Source again. Same. This people's table is coming from which source?
Excel.
Excel. Which Excel?
Sample
Sample superstore. In that Excel, which table data it is? Where we can see? Navigation. Go to the navigation. It is which sheet data?
People.
People sheet data. Right. So what it is doing? So navigation. Which sheet data it is?
People.
People sheet data. It is what? People sheet data. Okay. When you see here, do you have proper column headers here?
No.
No. But it is not moving what?
Promoted
To the header. What is why it is not moving?
Every information is in text format.
Unfortunately, first row is text. Remaining rows are what? Text.
Text.
First row is text. Remaining rows are what? Text. First row is what? If you have at least one column, that one column, if you have first row as text value, remaining rows other data type. Remaining rows what? Other data type. Anything. It might be a number. It might be a date. Anything. Then it will treat that one as what? Header.
Header.
This time, so Power Query is not able to sense the header. So you remove the change type step. Why we need to remove, I'll tell you. So without promoting to the header, it is changing the data type. No use. First, remove that. What you need to do now? You need to promote first to where?
Header.
Header. So developer need to do it. So sometimes Power Query cannot do that. Developer need to do it. Go to home tab, click on what? Every time when you move first row to header, it will change the data types to the column. Try to understand. When I click on use first row as header, I just promote it to header only. Every time when you promote it to the header, it will do one extra step. What is the step?
Change data type.
Change
Okay.
step, yes. This step, as soon as you do this step, you will get this step again. Don't worry about this step. So when you promote it to the header, you don't have proper data type. Not recommended to leave as any data type. So what it is doing is, it is doing in the fourth step, reading the column, and it is changing what?
Text.
Data type. It is changing the data type. Okay, that is about people's table. Now
Applied
it also
steps.
have four steps or not? Now
Yes.
go to returns table. Returns table, which step is missing again? Same story
Header.
again here also. Why promoted header is missing is source and navigation, that's fine. Why promoted header is everything is text. Everything is text. In this scenario, what you need to do? Even if you leave this step, no problem. Let's leave this step and use first as header. What happens now? It promoted to the header. One more time, it is doing the same step, right? It unnecessarily wastes the time. So it is not necessary to change the data type without promoting to what? Headers.
Header.
Better what you can do? Change the data type. Now what you need to do? Use first as header. Once you move first to header, then you'll get the
Automatically change the
data.
data type.
fine. Yes. So EMP table have how many steps? 4 steps. DEPT table have how many steps? 4 steps. Manager table have how many steps? 4 steps. You know about these 4 steps or not? But
Yes.
when you go to the customer data table, how many steps are there?
Two.
Only 2 steps. Source and what? Navigation. What are the another 2 steps missing here?
Promoter headers and
Promoter
change.
header and changing the data type. Why that promoter header change data type is not available means we'll understand. First, customers table is coming from which source? Customer table is getting from where? SQL server. SQL databases means SQL server.
Hmm.
Okay, in this SQL server, there are 8 databases. Out of 8 databases, from which database this table is coming?
Go to navigation.
Navigation. When I go to the navigation, we can see it is coming from where?
Product.
Product database. What is the database name? Database, in the database, which table?
Customers.
Customer data table. That you can see in where? Navigation. But
Navigation.
if you see, when you are in the orders table, when you are in the navigation, do you have headers?
No,
No.
but
But
here by
when you go to
default,
the customer data, when you are in the navigation, do you have proper headers?
yes.
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 Why? Because when it is Excel, it will look everything like a data only. There is no separate header. There is no separate data. Everything look like what? Data. That is the reason we need to promote it to the header. But when it comes to database, you'll have a proper structure in the database. What you will have? Proper
Proper
structure. If you have a table, it will have a proper header. It will have a proper data. When you bring this table to Power Query, header will come to header. Data will come to what? Data. You don't need to do anything. Okay. So in that scenario, you don't need to promote it separately to header. You don't need to promote it to header. So okay, let's leave it. Promote it to header. We are not doing. But if you see the data type, are you getting the proper data type? Customer key, is it any data type or whole number? Whole number. It's a proper data type or not? First name, is it having what data type? Text.
Text.
How you have data type is in database while creating the tables. Tell me the syntax to create the table. Syntax to create the table is create table,
Table. Employee.
table name, open the bracket, column name, and then what you need to give after giving the column name?
Data type.
Data type you need to give. Without giving the data type, we cannot create the table. While creating the table itself, proper data types will define. When you bring the tables from database, the data types also will come. Again, you don't need to do it. In the Excel, it will treat everything like text only. That time you need to give the data types. But in the database, every column will have what? Proper data types. That is the reason you don't see change type step. Even though you don't see, you'll have proper data types. Products table also, how many steps you have? 2 steps.
2.
Sales data table also, how many steps? 2 steps.
2.
So mostly when you bring the tables from database, how many default steps you'll get?
2.
2.
When you bring the tables from Excel, how many default steps you will see?
4.
From now, for every transformation, it will add a new step. Yes or no? Let's say I go to orders table, I select the customer name, I go to transform, format, click on what? Uppercase. Does it add a new step or not? Yes. Every transformation you do, it will add one new step. Behind that step, it will write the code. That code will give the customer name in uppercase. Yes or no? Yes. Fine, yes. Now go to product data table. Let's convert the product name to what? Uppercase. How to convert the product name to uppercase is transform format, click on uppercase. When you do any transformation, I recommend give the proper name to the step. You'll get the default name. What is the default name you are getting to this step? Uppercase text. Right click, rename.
Rename.
So instead of having uppercase text, you write it uppercase to which column?
Product name.
Uppercase which column? Product name. Uppercase product name. Then go to customer data table. I need to derive customer full name. How we derive? Select first name, middle
Middle
name,
name,
last name. Go to where? Add column.
Add.
Click on what?
Merge.
Merge columns. When I click on merge columns, what is the separator we choose? Space.
Space.
What is the new column name? Customer
Customer full
full
name.
name. When I go and press OK, it will add a new step or not?
Yes.
When I select that step, it will write the code or not? That code will
Yes.
give customer full name, right? When I
Yes.
go, is it possible to modify the code in the formula bar? Is it possible to modify this code in the formula bar? Yes. We can
Yes.
edit this code. When you edit this code, will the output change or remain same?
Changes.
So now you have text.combine is the M language function. You passed first name, middle name, and then what? Last name.
Last.
And you passed a separator called space. In the case of space, if I give comma, if I run this code, in the output also you are getting what?
Comma.
Comma. If I remove the comma, if I run the space, we are getting what? Space.
Space.
It is possible to edit this M language code. So what is the default step name you got?
Insert a
Insert a
merge.
column. Instead of having this step name, right click on the step, rename, give a proper
Customer
name. Merge columns to derive what?
Customer full name.
Customer full
Customer.
name.
Any meaningful name. It's not that we need to give this name. Why we need to give a meaningful name is after 1 week you open Power Query. When you go to each step, you can understand what you do in each step. So better you can give the name. Whether you give it or whether you don't give it, no difference. For our understanding purpose, better to give us meaningful name. Only for our understanding purpose. Sometimes after 1 week, you want to do one more step. That time, if you go and check what you do previously, by seeing the step names itself, we can understand. Right, yes. Now, that is about which one?
Applied steps.
Applied steps.
Can we write couple of points on this applied steps default thing that you have explained earlier?
So a couple of steps means you want to write more text here.
Just points.
You can write whatever, how much text you want, but recommended to give a precise one. Don't give a big one.
Okay.
In the
Fine, yes.
notepad for further remembering.
Oh,
In the
here you are
notepad.
asking.
No, I'm asking
Yeah.
about notes, sir.
What I need to write, applied steps will contains list of
Four.
ETI activities you performed on what?
Selected
Selected step. Applied steps will have what? Default
Default.
steps. After the default steps, if you do any transformation, it will add one new step. Better, you will get a default name, rename it. Fine. That's fine. Yes. Okay. So what you guys need to do is, while you are listening to the video, to this notepad, you need to add additional points. Open the same notepad. Try to add additional points over there when you are listening to the video or doing the practice. Okay. The next one is formula bar. What is the next one we need to understand? Formula bar. Formula bar. So what is this formula bar is? This area name is what? Formula bar. Next step name is formula bar. Formula bar. Formula bar will show selected step M language code. Which one? Formula bar will show selected step M language code. Formula bar will show selected step M language code. So in the formula bar, how many steps M language code we can see at a time is only one step. If you select any step in customer data table, I selected this step. Only this step M language code you will see. When I go to product data table, when I select last step, you can see that step M language code. So let's say you have 30 steps here. In the formula bar, at a time, how many steps you can see? Only one step. If you want to see all the 30 steps M language code in a single place, is it possible? Means yes, it is possible, but not in what? Formula bar. Where it is possible is currently you have 5 steps, right? I want to see all the 5 steps code in a single place. Where it is possible is go to home tab. There is an option called what? Advanced editor. When I click on the advanced editor, you can see all the steps M language code here. All the steps M language code here. How many steps? First step, source, navigation, promoted header, change data type, uppercase the text. Even if you have 30 steps, all the 30 steps code we can see in where? Advanced editor.
Advanced.
The sixth point we understand is advanced editor. What formula bar will show? I said, so, sir, by default, so when I go to view tab, sometimes formula bar will be unchecked. Where view tab formula bar is unchecked. Formula bar unchecked means do you see formula bar here? How to see formula bar again? I recommend when you are working in the Power Query, try to have the formula bar. So how to get it is go to view tab and check what formula bar. Are you getting the formula bar now? Yes.
Yes.
For some reasons, if you don't have, go to view tab and check this. We'll get it. Now, a formula bar will show only how many steps M language code. One step.
Only one.
Advanced editor will show what? All steps M language code. Advanced editor will show all steps M language code. M language code. If you want to edit multiple steps at a time, can you edit in formula bar or advanced editor? Advanced editor. If you want to edit one step, you can go to formula bar. If you want to edit multiple steps,
Go to
go
advanced
to advanced
editor.
editor. Here also you can edit it. After editing it, click on what?
Done.
It will get the proper output, guys. Okay. The next one I'll talk about is now at a time you can understand one table is coming from which source. I want to understand all the tables are coming from which data source. Every table at once. When you go to select table, when you go to source, only you can understand how this table is coming from where? Excel.
Excel.
Instead of that, I want to understand all the tables are coming from where? Which source? That you can understand by going to view. There is an option called what? Query dependencies. When I click on query dependencies, you can see all the 9 tables are coming from which source? All the 9 tables are coming from what? Which source? Where? From sample superstore, you have what? Orders, peoples, and returns. From here, you are getting what? EMP, DEPT, manager. From here, you are getting what? Customers, products, and sales. So this when you hover here, what is the one you are seeing? Sample superstore Excel. See that sample superstore dot what? XLSX. This one is what? EMP, DEPT, XLSX. This one is what?
Server.
Server. Product
Product.
database. Server. If you have this kind of symbol, it is coming from a database. This is coming from a file. So like this, we can understand which file, which table. From this sample superstore file, how many tables are getting? Orders, peoples, and returns. EMP, DEPT table, manager table. From this SQL Server, customer, product, sales. Where we are seeing that 7th point we understand now is which one?
Query.
Query dependencies. Query dependencies. Query dependencies will show what? Query dependencies will show
Source of that.
all table source information. All tables data source information. Data source information. Okay. This point, query dependencies in the coming class also, this is a useful option. In the coming class also, I'll discuss many times. Okay. Leave it about it. This is all about which one? Power Query Editor, user interface. By this time, you completed introduction to Power Query Editor, user interface. Next one is what? Data processing in Power Query. Data processing in Power Query. Only today's class will have theory, guys. From tomorrow's class, everything is practical. Right? This today's class also more into theory, less into practical. From tomorrow's class, less into theory, more into practicals. So now data processing in Power Query. What is this data processing means? How ETL activities will be performed in the Power Query? I'll make you understand. These points are important. They're simple points, but you need to remember this. So instead of typing that, I'll copy paste few points and then I'll explain. Just let me copy paste few points and let me explain about this data processing. I'll just open one of the previous notepad. Instead of typing them, I'll just copy paste them. Just go and copy this data processing in the Power Query. So what is the meaning for data processing? How data will be processed in the Power Query, or how ETL activities will happen in Power Query case. First, read only first point. Start with first point. When we bring the tables from where? Any data source to Power Query, it will bring tables and what? First 1000 rows to the Power Query. What is the meaning is? So let's say I bought this orders table is there in Excel, guys. In the Excel, you have a orders table. That orders table have 9994 rows. How many rows are there? I know that there is 9994 rows, but I connected to the Excel. I bought the orders table to Power Query. It will not bring all the 9994 rows. It will bring only 1000 rows. Only first 1000 rows. If you go and check the orders table and go and see here in the orders table, how many rows it is showing?
1000.
Only 1000 rows. When I go and bring the orders table, it is showing only what? 1000 rows. Let's say not only from Excel, you bought, let's say there is a SQL Server database. Which database? SQL Server database have a sales table. That sales table have 100 million records. How many records are there? I connected to the SQL Server. I got the sales table to Power Query. When you bring the sales table to Power Query, initially it will bring only what? It will not bring what? 100 million rows. If you go and check the sales data table, only how many rows you are seeing? That's what the first point meaning. When we bring the tables from where? Any data source, whether it is Excel or SQL Server or Oracle or wherever it is, Power Query only bring what? 1000 rows to Power Query. Okay. So now you go to any table, you will have 1000 rows only. Now when I go and select the customer name, when I go to transform, when I go to format, when I click on uppercase, it will convert the customer name to uppercase only for how many rows? 1000 rows.
1000.
Initially, Power Query will transform only data for what? 1000 rows. Read the next point. Initially, Power Query will transform the data on what? 1000 rows only. Okay. Now, you bought the orders table. You transform the data for 1000 rows. Now, once you are done with transforming the data in the table, what you will do? You'll go to Home tab. You'll click on what?
Project.
Just imagine you are done with transforming the data completely in orders table. But unfortunately, when you do the transformation, initially it is doing for how many rows? 1000. Once you are done with all the transformations in this table, you'll click on what? Now, when I click on close and apply, Power Query will one more time go to Excel. Power Query will go one more time to what? Excel. This time, after going one more time to the Excel, this time it will bring complete data. What it will bring? It will bring complete data. It will go to one more time Excel. It will bring the complete data. On the complete data, it will perform all the steps. And that resulted data will load into Power Pivot. You need to carefully understand what I'm trying to explain here. This is important. Initially, when I connect to Excel, when I bring the orders table, how many rows it bring? 1000 rows.
1000.
Initially, when you transform, how many rows it transform? 1000
Only
rows.
1000.
After transforming, you'll click on what?
Close
and
and
apply. When I
apply.
click on
Close
close and
and
apply, what happens?
Again, it will
It
go
will
to
go one
Excel
more
and it
time
will
to
go to
Excel.
Excel sheet.
This time it will bring what? Complete
total
data.
data.
It will apply all the steps on what? Complete data. That result will load into where?
Power Pivot.
Power Pivot. Now you tell me, Power Pivot will have 1000 rows transform data or complete transform data?
Complete transform data.
Now the question is, why Power Query is going 2 times to the source? First time itself, when you bring the table, why don't it bring complete data? First time, why it is bringing only 1000 rows? Why it is transforming 1000 rows? When you click on close and apply, why it is going second time to the source again to bring complete data to transform it? Why? Why it is doing like that?
So,
Okay, when we click on
during
close and apply, Power Query will bring what? All data, transform it, load it into Power Pivot. Actual ETL process will happen when we click on what? Close and apply.
Close
When I
and
click
apply.
on new source, when I bring any tables, it doesn't take time. Why it will not take any time when you click on new source to bring the tables is it will bring only what?
1000
1000
rows.
rows. Even to transform each transformation, it doesn't take time. Why? Because it will transform only what? 1000 rows. But when I click on close and apply, it will take 10 minutes time also. When I click on close and apply, how much time it will take? 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes also. Why when I click on close and apply, it will take 10, 20 minutes?
Because it is extracted.
Large data.
It need to go and collect large volumes of data from the source. It need to perform all this transformation, and it need to load it. When I go and click on close and apply, you see, you'll get a load window. This load window
Yes.
will be there for lot of time. It will be there for in the real time 10 minutes also. Somehow it is not showing load option there. It will be there for 10 minutes, 15 minutes also based on the volumes of data you have. Okay. So now my question is, why
Sir,
initially it is bringing only 1,000 rows? Why not complete data initially itself? Why second time they are going again? Someone tell me quickly.
For
So it's
performance
like
level.
giving,
Performance.
Performance
Even
level.
performance
giving
means
an
even when you click on
overview
close and apply,
of the
again it need
data.
to go or not. That time also performance will be there, right?
Power query limit
Power query, if it right or
limitation.
wrong, that it will
Power query,
be
no
read
limitation.
the,
Power
Even when I
Power
click
pivot
on close and
might
apply, it will bring the data.
it will be read
Power
the
pivot may have a ability to zip the files in a such a way that it can extract the data.
No, not zip the files, not on zip, not on all. See, what is the simple reason is, what is that?
We have to make faster.
Which one faster?
Changes.
So, what is the reason they bring only 1,000 rows is, when you bring just, let's say, when you bring 100 million rows, for each transformation you are doing, you need to wait some time. When you do each transformation on 100 million rows, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, you might need to wait. When you try to wait for every step 10, 20 seconds, developer will lose the interest. So we need to do the steps faster. Once you do all the steps faster, 1,000 rows means you can do all the steps faster. Click on close and apply means I can wait half an hour. So waiting between each step for 10, 20 seconds is good. Waiting all at once is good. All at once is good. When I go and click on close and apply, let it do all the transformation. Meantime, I can go out and come back, or I can do some other work. Within 20 seconds, can you do some other work in between 10, 20 seconds? No, right? So to do each ETL step much faster, they're bringing only a sample of how many records? 1,000 records. This is the
Sir,
data processing, how it will internally happen in where?
sir, Power
Power.
Query editor by default will take 1,000 rows.
Yes,
Only
by
1,000
default,
rows,
it will take 1,000 rows only.
by default rows. Okay, by default. Okay, right, sir. Understood.
That is all about today's class, guys. I'm done with today's class. Tomorrow's class, class 2. First, I'll talk about what? Data types. Then I'll talk about what? Filters in the Power Query. These are the topics we're going to discuss in tomorrow's class. Anybody have any questions from today's class?
Yes, sir, I have a question regarding the top 1,000 rows. So, suppose there is a column where the first 1,000 row is